So here we go again. Apple has released a new iPad. They do this every year. And coming from someone who uses Android all the time, I always saw iPads as not really a big deal. Because, you know, every iPad before this generation of iPads were kind of stale, boring, and use the same exact processor as their iPhone counterfeits. So what's different about this one? The difference about this iPad is that it actually comes with a redesigned look, and it's a more hollowed out feeling. So this might feel a little cheaper, but actually it cuts down on a lot of weight and only weighs 1 pound. I seriously thought my LG Optimus G weighed more than an iPad when I first picked it up. This is a great iPad design, so let's look into the aesthetics of it and see what we got. So with the iPad Air, we have a volume up and volume down button, as well as a mute button. Now the volume up and down buttons are different because they're actual buttons instead of just a rocker. Now in the front here we have the front facing camera, and I don't know if you can see this, but there's a little thing right by the camera. Let's just have this thing focus first. But there's a little thing right by the camera that looks exactly like a little speaker. I'm not sure if you can see it, even my camera focus, but it's just this little thing. I don't know what that is, but it's probably the proximity sensor. But it just looks like a little microphone. Like it has little holes inside of it, so it's very nice. But anyways, back here we have two microphones. So here's a microphone on the top and a microphone on the bottom. These are used for noise canceling. That's why there's two of them. So on the top here we have a headphone jack and also a power button. And you can see the design is very nice. It's a lot more square, and I actually like square designs on tablets, which is why when I first got the Windows 8 tablet, which was a Lenovo, I really liked the design because it was just so square. I really think that square design is very modern looking. So under the hood, this iPad Air has an A7 64-bit processor, and this is the same exact processor found in the iPhone 5S. Not very impressed here, Apple. So I thought Apple would actually release like an A7X or something a little bit more powerful, maybe a little more overclocked, you know, for the iPad. And what's even more funny is the iPad mini got the same exact processor and the same exact resolution of screen. The only thing with the iPad mini is the screen is a little bit smaller. So what's the deal here, Apple? Anyways, even though it has the same exact processor as the iPhone 5S, it's actually very fast, and actually it is 2 times faster than the A6X processor found in the previous generation iPad. Now one little problem that the iPad Air has is that it still has iOS 7. Now iOS 7 looks really good, and don't get me wrong, they did a great job on it, but the functionality is just not there yet. It comes with iOS 7 0.3, which is the latest version of iOS 7, but it still has some of the problems that we first saw. So for example, if we lock the phone and unlock it again, we still have to wait for the animation to finish when we want to do something. So if I open the counter app, I can't do anything until the animation finishes. So let me close that out again, and I'll show you again. See, you have to wait for the animation to finish before you can do anything. That's a problem. But it is very fast with the A7 chip, so there's not much to worry about. While looking at the camera app, I found something wrong. There is no slow motion mode. So I thought the iPad 7 would actually come with a slow motion camera just like the iPhone 5S. Unfortunately, it does not come with that. It actually comes with the previous generation camera found in the iPad 4. Now it is a little bit improved over the iPad 4, but it's pretty much the same camera. Let me show you guys some shots that I took with the camera, and we'll be right back. guys, this is a front-facing camera test, and this is also the audio test at the same time. So looks pretty nice. Gives you an idea of what it looks like. You want to blog with your iPad. I don't know why you would want to do that, but gives you an idea. So opening apps on the iPad Air is pretty much the same experience as opening apps on the iPhone 5S. I mean, it's got the same exact processor, but I mean, we can check out the speed anyways. So opening the browser, I mean, it opens up pretty much right away. I just wish that iOS 7 included animation speed, so you can increase the speed of the animations so you can do everything much faster. So everything loads up fast. As you can see, HTML5 is very fast on this phone. Even though it lags a little bit, you can see on the apple.com's website, it's not exactly 60 frames per second. And it does stutter at times. If we go to YouTube, for example, just when the YouTube app just started, when I scroll down, it lagged a little bit, as you saw there. So let me show you some other example. MSN.com. So the first time you scroll down, just when the page is loading, it's a little slow, and I found this to be a little bit of a problem. But it's not a huge deal. And look at that, the browser just crashed. This is the problem with iOS 7. It's just not very optimized. So the iPad Air plays games wonderfully. It includes the Apple A7 processor, but you're gonna find in the future that the performance is actually gonna be worse than the iPhone 5S because the resolution is higher. So it has to push out more pixels per inch. And this is a lot harder on the hardware. Even though nowadays games are going to run perfectly for the iPad and the iPhone 5S, you're going to see in the future that the iPhone 5S is going to outperform the iPad. And that's why it's a problem to put a current generation processor inside an iPad because of the higher resolution. Nevertheless, you're still going to get near perfect gaming above 60 frames per second. So thank you guys for watching my review. I do recommend this iPad Air. It's a great iPad, much lighter than the previous generations and a lot faster. But if you do have the iPad 4 or the iPad 3, I recommend sticking with those iPads because you're going to be good for another 3 or 4 years. You really don't need this iPad. It's not a huge, evolution. It's really just kind of a little bit of a step up. It's not a huge, big deal. But I do recommend this iPad if it's your first time buying an iPad. This is my first time buying an iPad, so that's why I bought this. If I had the iPad 4 or iPad 3, I probably would not go with this, but it's still a great tablet, and check it out, guys.